Oh, I don't know what that was. Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In today's video, I will show you how to use Retrofit for Android and NsUrlsession for iOS to make any API call. Now I know why. Now I know why you might be thinking that why do we need this? We can use fetch in React Native. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But suppose you have to use a work manager, then what you will do? You will call work manager on native side, then call fetch on React Native side. So to all those who don't know, work manager is an API in Android which you can call to perform some kind of a background operation even when your app is not running. Like if you even if your app is completely closed, you can use work manager to do some kind of an any kind of an operation like calling an API or doing some background operation, all that sort of stuff. Or suppose you are trying to display a 3D some kind of a 3D object, then what you will do from a network? Will you call fetch, get the 3D object, store it in memory, then send it back to the React Native to the native side? So these are very inefficient way of doing things. And also, like, I have researched that when Airbnb was using React Native, like, they don't use it anymore, but when they were using in 2016, 17, and I think some part of 2018 as well, they did not use fetch. I doubt even Facebook uses fetch. Like, they have their own networking layer, uh, native networking layer for each platform. So I think fetch, yeah, it does the job, but it does cause some performance issues, as well as if your JSON is extremely large, decoding that JSON and encoding it on the JS thread itself can be performance can cause performance issues as well. So yeah, that's why I wanted to do retrofit for Android and NsUrlsession for iOS. So first of all, I will be using this API. So this is the URL, json placeholder.typeicode.com/post. And for I will show you one get API endpoint and one post API endpoint. And for post, again we will calling this API, but we will be sending this kind of a data. Okay, and once you send it, you just get same data back. And for get API, you get a list of this back. So I have created a default React Native project, and we want to enable the new architecture for it. So go to Android, search for new arc enabled, go to gradle.prop. It will redirect you to gradle.properties. Make this as true. Next, for iOS, you have to run this command inside the root directory of your iOS folder. After running this command, you might face two issues. I will tell you what those issues are. Okay. So first one is this, and the second one is this. So if you face something like this, you just have to cd back to the root of your React Native project in your CLI and run this command. But if you face an issue like this, you might want to try this command or want to check out other answers as well. I also have a video on my channel explaining this issue and how to resolve it. But yeah, once this command is successfully run from your iOS directory, just run yarn iOS or yarn Android, and in the metro bundler you should see fabric::true, which means the new architecture has been enabled for your React Native project. Next, we have to use TurboModules. So it tells us to create a folder like this, but it mentions that create this folder outside your app. According to me, it is wrong. You should create it inside. So inside your React Native project, I have created this folder RTN networking. So create this folder. Next, you have to go to the main Android folder, go to build.gradle, and make sure you add this Kotlin version as well as this class path, because I want to use Kotlin, I don't want to use Java. Next, go to build.gradle, make sure you add this Kotlin standard lib as well as the apply plugin Kotlin Android. Next, make sure in your Android manifest, main Android manifest.xml, you have this internet permission as well. So also, if you are not using this API and if you are trying to use your own API, make sure your API endpoint is HTTPS and not HTTP. If it is HTTP, then you will have to do other sort of things as well. Like there is something called clear traffic on Android, and for iOS that is transport payload, something which you have to add to your info.plist. You can just Google it. You will find out first answer would help you out. But yeah, it's recommended to use HTTPS for a API endpoint. Next, we have created this folder. Inside this folder, create Android, iOS and JS folder. Next, inside the JS folder, we have to create native networking.ts file. So here you can see they have told us to create this file. I have just copy pasted everything from documentation. Only thing that has been changed, I have called this API get API, and whatever data I'm getting, I'm sending it back as a string. Same for post API as well, I'm sending it that back as a string, and make sure this name has been changed to whatever your folder name is. Next, we have to create package.json. The package.json should be a sibling to your JS folder and not inside your JS folder. Again, copy pasted everything from documentation. This file name should be changed. This should be changed. What else? This should be changed. This should be changed. Next, we have to create an RTN networking pod spec file. Again, I have copy pasted this from the documentation as well. Only thing change is this. Okay, once you are done, you have to go to Android. In Android, you have to create this build.gradle file. Again, I have copy pasted everything from the documentation. Only thing that I have changed is this apply plugin, this namespace. Then also you have to add this, because the reason is that in Retrofit we have to use something called time unit, and time unit is only supported from Gingerbread. So make sure you add this. Do not forget this. This is not present in the documentation. Also, go to Android, go to build.gradle app, build.gradle, and make sure here also you change the min SDK version to 23. You can make it as 21 as well, but I think now everyone at least has Marshmallow in the Android community, so make it as 23 min SDK version. Okay, again I will go back to the Android folder of RTN networking. Make sure you add this. Next, I have added this Kotlin dependency. These two dependency are for Retrofit, and this is for lifecycle for coroutines. Next, you have to create this folder structure src main java com RTN networking, and for now just create this package, networking package. Okay, again I have copy pasted this from the documentation, but for now you have to write return null over here as well as over here, because you have not run code generation yet. So just do as I say. Okay, just do return null over here and over here. Okay, networking package. So we have done this, we have done this as well. Next, we have to do code generation. So first you have to run a command like this, but we will only use a single dot because our folder is already inside React Native project. So in app.tsx, just run this command yarn add /RTN networking. Next, for you have to do cd ... This will move you outside your React Native project, and you have to run this command. So here this should be a React Native project name, this should be a React Native project name or folder name, whatever you call it. This should be your React Native project name followed by the folder which we have created. Okay, again over here if you see, they have not added the project name on line 3 because they have created this folder outside the React Native project, but we have created it inside. That's why we require the project name. So this will create a generated folder inside over here. Next, for iOS we have to create an header file as well as an Objective-C++ file. So go to the iOS folder of your RTN networking. Inside I have created this header file and copy pasted everything from documentation. Only the file name has been changed over here, over here, over here. Next, again I have copy pasted this from documentation. If you are interested in how to do this in Swift, watch my Flutter video. Next, again copy pasted everything from documentation. This file name has been changed, file name has been changed, file name has been changed. Then I am overriding this method, and this is how you call. Here you can see I'm passing, this is the get API endpoint. Here you have to pass the URL, and everything else will remains the same. Okay, and I'm sending back the data to React Native side. And for post API, again this is our URL, and this is how you send data. So title, then this is foo, body is bar, user ID is 1, and this is a nil, I think some extra parameter which we don't require. Set the request HTTP method as post. Once that is done, I'm sending the data back to React Native side. But if you want, you can check the status code and all that stuff, check for errors, all that stuff, but I have not added that. Okay, because I know this API will work. It is a public API, public open source API. Okay, so this is done for iOS. So we are done for iOS. Next for Android, so you have to do cd Android and run this. So this will do code generation for Android. Okay, once you run this command, you go to main Android folder, go to the Android folder of RTN networking, and here you can see first create this request folder. I have created register request.kt. This will be used while making the post call, because we want to pass title, body and user ID. Okay, next create a response folder. Here I have written the response of the post call, post API call. Okay, so this is how it will look like, and same for get API. So this is how it will look like, but we will get a list of this. Okay, so ID, title, user ID and body. Next I have defined a seal service class, so you can name it whatever you want, and here I have defined the post endpoint. Okay, not the entire URL, but just whatever is the last part of your URL you have to write over here. And here you can see I'm using suspending function. So first one is register, you can call it whatever you want, and I am passing the request body, and I am getting this kind of a response. Same for get API as well. Name it whatever you want, and we are getting a list of VC response. Next, go to networking package. Now instead of returning null, you can write this code. Okay, next create networking module.kt, and here again I have copy pasted most of the code from documentation. Only thing the change is file name. Here I am creating a lifecycle object. Here this is retrofit code, and so this requires gingerbread, at least gingerbread. Okay, that's why I had to change the minimum HDK version. And here we are passing the only the base URL, not the entire URL. Okay, the slash the post part is passed over here in the interface. Post. Okay, network is so here. Next I'm just overriding the get name. I'm calling the get API, and here you can pass call the get endpoint, and I'm sending back the data as a string, but you can send it however you like. Same retrofit.register, sending the data back, and make sure you write this as well, RTN networking, otherwise you will get error. Okay, so we are done for Android part as well. Next, run this command again. Okay, so go to app.tsx, and you have to run this command. Okay, next cd to iOS and run this command. So this will create a pod of your RTN networking folder. Now to use it, go to app.tsx. Now I have just created 2 buttons. This is how you can import it, and this is just calling the get endpoint, this is calling the post endpoint. So yeah, I think that should be it. Thank you for watching. Bye.